Okay, let's talk about a figure that's special to me. Generation 1, Powermaster Optimus Prime. This piece holds a special place in my heart as it is indeed the figure from my childhood, which I somehow managed not to mangle after I received it as a birthday gift. As such, it survived with me all these years, and I was lucky enough that I didn't need to try and reacquire him as an adult. Now, what's with all the parts? That's part of the beauty of this figure and the flexibility of being able to play as well as display him in several different ways in several different modes. We'll talk about the figure itself here, its various modes, as well as the differences of how it was released in North America versus how it was released in Japan, where he was known under a different name, namely being known as Super Ginrai. We'll talk about the important reissues and recolors of this fantastic figure as well. In North America, he was known as Powermaster Optimus Prime, released as part of the Powermaster series in 1988. The idea here was that Optimus was joined with an intelligent Nebulan comrade named Hi-Q, a play on the acronym IQ. Hi-Q sits in Optimus's torso as a Powermaster in either truck mode or the larger combined robot mode. The core figure here forms the chest and main torso of the bigger robot, but in this particular mode he scales very well with other G1 Transformers, albeit he's a little taller than his original 1984 counterpart. In this mode, the trailer serves as a battle station of sorts, complete with two gray double-barrel guns, as well as two black-colored rifles. I personally had many living room battles as a kid, with the battle station here blasting away at the Decepticons. Now you can take the core figure and battle station and transform him into his more traditional looking cab and trailer vehicle mode, albeit with some Powermaster style weapons and upgrades, which will make him look a little more geared up and souped up compared to his more traditional appearance. I always thought that this scaled very well with other large truck figures such as Ultra Magnus. Of course, the main feature of this set is to transform him into the larger Powermaster Optimus Prime mode, standing 9.5 inches tall and having a bulky frame with 4 guns total to instill fear into the Decepticons. Sadly though, the articulation is sorely lacking as it is with many figures of this era, since he only has articulation in his shoulders. Either way, a great figure to step on bad guys in your living room or to have an imposing presence on your shelf. As we move into the alternate overseas side of Transformers lore, Powermaster Optimus Prime was presented completely differently in Japan. In fact, as a sentient robot, Optimus Prime wasn't present at all in the Japanese animated 1988 Master Force cartoon, which served as Season 5 of the cartoon there. Instead, Hi-Q, the Power Master, or Godmaster in Japan, was a human named Jinrai. Jinrai is a sentient being inside an armored suit who finds himself bonded to a non-living robot called a transector, which is the core form of the figure's body shown previously. When merged with the trailer into the larger robot mode, he becomes known as Super Ginrai, which resembles Optimus Prime cosmetically, but as mentioned, he isn't actually a living essence of Optimus Prime. It's basically the human Jinrai, wearing Optimus's face and features, but controlling the robot as an aforementioned Godmaster. Continuity-wise, Super Ginrai is as large as a combiner in the cartoons. This brings us to a second attachment that you can either pull on the back of the main figure's trailer in truck mode or form into a second, also non-sentient drone figure known as Godbomber. This is cool as you end up with two relatively large Transformers fighting side by side, but ultimately, once you take Godbomber apart and toss him as armor around Super Ginrai, you have an even bigger, more fearsome robot known as God Ginrai. It should be noted that Godbomber as an attachment wasn't available in North America in 1988. In my personal case, after I got the original Powermaster Optimus Prime as a kid, it was many years later in the early 2000s before I was able to acquire Godbomber as a loose figure from a reissue set that somebody else had split up, which is why I was able to get him separately. Now, long after the 1988 original release, God Ginrai was reissued in Japan in 2002, and later the set was re-released again in North America by Hasbro under the name Powermaster Optimus Prime with Apex Armor, the Apex Armor representing the Western name for Godbomber. The whole God Ginrai set was recolored into an orange and red scheme known as the Fire Guts God Ginrai, and the Powermaster Optimus Prime itself was recolored into a dark black color scheme known as the Nucleon Quest Super Convoy. So, there you have it, folks. A spotlight history of Powermaster Optimus Prime, as well as his concurrent history as either Super Ginrai or God Ginrai overseas, as well as my personal journey towards acquiring the figure itself. I hope this video has been fun and insightful for you. Please like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care.